Alright guys, we're back at it again today. Back to the land of the giants, the land of the gods. Had to get away from the farm fields and the pressure. That's too much for me. So I'm back out in the middle of nowhere again, thankfully. So this is a spot that I have partially scouted out as well. Want to head back out here. This is the land where they have everything. All the cover they want, all the tall grass, all the tall ferns, all the brushy trees, all the food they want, cattails, swamps, islands, everything a giant whitetail could want is out here. So that's why we're here. There is a big community scrape I found out here before. I don't know if we'll go by it today because I want to kind of scout out this other area, which is basically the other side that I didn't scout out last time. But if we have time, we might tool over there because I would like to see it a little bit better. And just walking through here right now, I can see how much everything has grown up. I think maybe it's been at least a year, obviously, but maybe 2 since I've been out here and walked around. So a lot of the whips are a lot bigger. A lot of the brush is a lot brushier and whatnot. I think we've actually got a licking branch right here. I'll flip around and show you. If you look right here, this giant branch right here is a licking branch. You can see right here, it's all chewed off, chewed off, chewed off, chewed off, chewed off, and then you notice how it's all rubbed all the way up. There's no leaves on it. All the stubs are gone. There's no leaves until you get up here. That's from them deer rubbing on it. I thought it was going to be a scrape for sure, but there's no scrape underneath there. But that's definitely a licking tree right there. So that's pretty cool to find basically as soon as we get back in here. Alright guys, I marked this big licking branch on the map, and you can see the trail coming up to it right here. This is an old logging road we're on still, but nobody drives back here. This is an old cut. Over here is like marsh cattails, and they're bedding back in there. You can see this giant trail right here. This giant trail going back into bedding right there. Looks like they might be bedding right there in the ferns. It's kind of interesting right here. I don't know if they're bedding right here or not. It kind of looks like they might be. Maybe at night, but you can see all these ferns are pushed down and they're going out into this to bed. I'm not going to go over there. And then they're coming up and hitting that licking branch, which is right there. That's pretty cool. It's not very far from the truck either. Obviously I wouldn't park there during hunting time, but we're going to keep following. I want to scout this edge here. We're going to keep following it back. I already have this trail marked. That could actually be possibly a really, really good spot right there. Because you could walk off the 2 track and hunt that licking branch right there. It probably comes out of that bed in the marsh right there, hits that licking branch and heads this way. So we're going to follow this logging road back. As you can see, this is super open, but there's like islands of trees in here. And that's where the deer sign is. They bed in them little islands of trees, or there'll be a little feature right in there. But where they really want to bed is out in this. That's all the willows and the cattails and whatnot that you can't see into. So you can see they're cruising down this logging road for sure. But we're just gonna keep following this back because I've scouted out this edge here. I know they're coming out of the bedding. And then you got the same thing but way over there. And then in between is these little islands. And they're kind of bouncing back between the marshy edges and the islands of trees in between them. We were cruising down the 2-track for a little bit. I didn't record that, but you can see this turned into a really big blowout now. And the end of it's over here and over here. And it's just surrounded by marsh. So they come into this at night to feed and then bed on the edges of the marsh. We're going to keep following the blowout around and just look for the sign where they're going into bed. This should be a pretty easy, quick scouting mission, thankfully, because the last time I was here, I did all the bushwhacking. We might have a big trail right here. Looks like we do. You can see here. Okay. You guys can see this big trail going back into the marsh. We're gonna mark this right here. We're not gonna walk it. We're just gonna keep walking down the edge of it. Alright, I just checked my map and I actually had that trail marked on there from the last time I was here. So that's good. You can see the big trail coming here too. Looks like there's almost a trail here, but there's that big deadfall. Let's see if there's one here. It looks like there is. I just want to make sure this trail's here, but as you can see, it goes off into the willows. Oh yeah, there's a trail here. Alright. Got our first pretty decent track right there. He's obviously running, but that's a good sized track right there. That didn't look too old either. Maybe from last night. Alright, we marked that trail coming into the map. We're gonna keep following this edge back, but head back further than I did last time I was here. Last time I just kind of marked these trails that were hitting already as I was heading back to the truck, because I came bushwhacking from way over here and then found this meadow and then just kind of scouted it out as I went back to the truck. So you can see we got a huge trail running here. They just run up and down this. I'm sure they're grazing on all this grass through here as they move. There's really no acorns around here. Right here, where we're walking now, I don't think there's really too many in the trees around here. Obviously there's a couple of oaks in there somewhere, so they're going to be going somewhere else for that. But as far as summer, maybe the first couple days of season, this looks like an excellent spot to try. You can see this is all grazed down. All this grass is grazed down right here. You guys see that, how it's all grazed? That's why it's so fluffy and fertile right there. And then look right here. It's not like that. It's because the deer aren't feeding there. From the deer feeding there year after year and grazing that and fertilizing it with their droppings, it gets really bright green and lush like that. You guys see all this? It's not like that. Alright. Gotta be on an eye out for more trails. Surprised there's not one right there. because I could see him coming at me and right at the edge of the bedding area. We're gonna go back and check this out. I was too busy following the big trail here, which isn't really important. But yeah, look at this. We got a giant trail going back here off this feeding area. So we're gonna definitely mark this on the map. I'm super glad I came back. But you guys see how lush this is? That's from them deer coming out here and feeding. And look right next door, see how that's bare dirt? They don't eat right there. And then we got this giant trail. That was a really good example of double checking yourself there. After I was sitting there explaining to you guys about how that was such a good feeding area, it clicked in my mind that, man, there's probably a big trail coming off that end of the bedding. And there is. If I look out there, that's the perfect little bedding area. You see out here, that trail goes right out there. And if you look further out, there's that island out there. So they're going from the willows, from here through those willows and into that little island out there in the willows. So that's the hot area. That's the exact type of thing we're looking for, guys. Hopefully you guys can see it on the video. I know it gets a little weird when it zooms in on my finger. But in the middle of that little willow marsh, there's a tiny, maybe 10 tree island. And it happened to be right off that spot. So I mean, that's not a coincidence right there. Always double check yourself. I would have never noticed that had I didn't go back and recheck what I just scouted. Alright, we're still cruising the edge here. One thing about this trail being here and this being like this is it makes it super easy to scout out. I can just get in here really quick and get out really quick. Alright, here's our one oak right here. So this is going to be very important right here. Look at that thing. And then you can see under it, it's all brown. Alright, this is 100% a feed tree. It looks like somebody broke stuff out of there, like maybe they were trying to sit in it. Not sure what was going on there. But you guys see how this is all broken down. Trying to look up in it and see if we see any acorns this year. I don't see any acorns in it. But this almost looks like a big bed right here. Right underneath it. I'm sure at certain years this is a very important spot. We're going to definitely mark it on our map and look for a trail going in here. You see some beds right here. It looks like there's a trail that snakes back in there. Alright. There's even some blackberries right under it as well. And I've noticed the deer spread the blackberries a lot by eating them in their scat. Some of these areas you can see that as they just travel and graze on them, the berries just go with them. Kind of cool to see. But here's our big giant trail going back. Alright guys, I don't know if you can see, but we've transitioned into cattails now, which is really promising. I'm going to creep in a little bit closer and see if I can see where that transition happens. I haven't seen any trails coming out for a minute, which is why I started creeping closer here. I thought maybe I'm missing them. I really don't want to get too close to this edge, because this is where these deer are going to be laying right now. I don't see any trail right here though. Maybe a faint one. I just want to creep over a little bit and see if I can see where it turned. I think it's right here. I got blueberries right here. see the big cattails right here. Sorry, I had to get some. I think that's the only big stand right there. If you look over here, there's no cattails. Alright, I definitely don't want to sneak up in there anymore. I thought the whole marsh was going to start turning into cattails there, but it looks like that's the only big stand of cattails there is. So I definitely want to get back away from there right now. I don't see the trail going down in there, but I would have to guess this is how they're getting down in there. It wasn't where we just were. It looks a lot easier to get in right here. Because there's no doubt in my mind that they're using those cattails. See, and then you get over here and it turns back into big grass. Follow the trail up out of here. And that trail, there it is. There it is right there. You guys see it? It's right here. They're creeping back in here. I'm going in there. Alright. There's definitely some good trees right here, possibly. Alright, we're gonna mark this trail on our map. Alright, we're still following this big trail here. This is how they're moving down that edge. You can see over here. Bedding area to bedding area. It's pretty open, so my guess is they only use this at night. But I'm sure they come up out of these cattails and whatnot. There's some more. Another big stand of cattails right there. And then mill around. Maybe right by where they're coming up out of there. This looks like another big trail back in. Alright guys, I just checked the map and this trail goes back into like a perfect bedding knob. I'm definitely not going to push back in there right now, but I marked this on the map and we're going to keep going down. We want to stay on this trail that follows the edge and keep marking those areas. Once it's nighttime, I'm guessing them deer bump out to these edges and just cruise. They're not afraid anymore. Or in the summer, they might just cruise these edges as well. Just jumped a deer right up here, guys. I just saw the whitetail look like a little doe. Didn't have the camera on because I was kind of bushwhacking through a little area. But I'll flip around and show you where she was bedded. If you look right up here in these trees on the edge, she was bedded right in there. Now if you get back here, I'm seeing another big oak right here. We got a big trail right here. More blueberries. This is obviously going to be some sort of feed tree out here, with there being so few oaks. I see another oak here, and another oak next to it. I don't know if you guys can hear that on the phone, but there's a hawk going off crazy over here. it's not a hawk. It's that porcupine. You guys see that porcupine? You guys hear that? That porcupine's whistling. I thought it was a hawk. You up there eating acorns, bud? You guys can see this is all beat down in here. So we got a trail right here. Out of here a little bit. I don't want to be so close to that edge with the cattails. If you guys look, there's other scattered oaks through here. So this is definitely going to be an area of interest for sure. Deer scat all over. We're on a big trail now. Got a giant thing of cattails right here. This looks like a spot I could see getting a possible chance at one. If he was bedded right back in those cattails. See, there's tons of deer sign here. Could be bedded right back in there. Oaks are right here. He's only got to go like 30 yards and he's into the oak grove. You guys can see this giant historic trail right here. It's running right alongside this marsh. The stuff I'm in is about over my knees, but not quite waist high. Bunch of blueberry bushes, so they can move through here and feel secure. And these trails just wind all through here, all over. We're gonna keep working down this edge. Right now we're just looking for more big trails going into the marsh. I'm a lot closer to the edge than I want to be, so I might actually back out here, go around. I'm actually in kind of more of the bedding area. Back out a little bit. That marsh is starting to bump out a little more. There'll be a second trail up here that we can follow. Alright, we're back a little bit further now. Kind of see the back of the blowout over there. That deer was bedded in here somewhere. You can see this trail here. Looks like she jumped up maybe right there. See, now we're into like a point here. We're out of the open field area and we're getting into the thick to where they could be actually bedded up in this as well. But I want to scout back further. Up this tree. This is a giant intersection right here, guys. One giant trail going that way, another one going that way. Keep following this massive trail back here. This island's gonna dead end. And then there's another island behind it. See, this is turning into a perfect bedding area. I wouldn't normally push back in here, but I haven't been back in here yet, so I want to see what's back here. Alright guys, this just opened up to an amazing spot. This island ends right here. We've got another island back there. Looks like we've got an island here. And then you can see the marsh we've been following, dead ends and corners out here. Alright guys, you can see this marsh corner right here. I'm going to climb out on that log a little bit. So as you guys can see, this is just one giant massive bedding area. Those bucks are all laying out here. Who knows how many are out there. That's just beautiful. And as you can see here, this goes off to another island and another island. So this is exactly what we're looking for. I don't know if I would push this back, push this deep into hunt. I'm gonna go back and e-scout it and figure that out. Measure it, look at my points, and see. There's no need to come this far back in, but There may be a need as well. You can see this trail coming over here into this bed right here. Since I'm already all the way back in here, I'm gonna poke around a little bit. They're all laying back here on the tip of this. And they can run back into this if they need to. Here's the big trail going out to the island. See this right here? What we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to follow the other edge around. You can see all these trails coming out of here. Because all them deer are coming from back over here and back over here. If you could get back here on the right day with the right wind, probably a very high wind to cover your sound, might have the chance at a monster back here. Look at this oak tree right here. It's all rubbed up. It's not like a rub from their antlers. It's like from their foreheads. You can see it coming right up to it. This big trail coming out of here. Another big trail coming from here. They all come right into this. All them trails come right into here. Alright guys, I just marked this giant intersection of the map. We're gonna keep getting out of here. It's kinda cool to see. You can see how deep it is from them jumping over the log. No scrapes out here. I don't think there needs to be. Maybe. Got a big rub right here though. Here's another big trail right here. Another big trail right here. You guys can see how thick and lush all this is. Just imagine them big deer moving out here through this. A little open area right here. Big trail. some rubs over here though. Oh yeah. Look at this huge trail right here. Alright, mark those trails and those rubs right there. That's the first real good buck sign we've seen, even though we know this is a buck area. I think he's bedding right here. You see that kidney bean right there? I don't know how often he is, but you can see this big trail going back there too. Alright, if you guys see this big kidney bean right here, that's a big buck bed. There's a lot of sticks in it and trees. I don't think they're using it obviously all year, but I think he's laying in the rut time, watching for does right here. That's why all them rubs are right there. And there's that bed right there. He can watch over here on this trail for does. Alright, we had to bushwhack for a minute, but we just came out to the edge of that meadow, and there's another giant oak right here. Look at this thing. It's got an ancient feel to it. So. Oh yeah, she's loaded with acorns too. Man, I think you could almost get right in that thing. Not sure how it would work out, but if you could get a far enough shot to get them before they winded you, you could definitely get in this tree and be perfectly camouflaged. Right. We marked this big feed tree on the map. That's the first one we've seen with acorns. I think we're about to come out. Here. To the meadow again. Alright guys, we're on the other side of the island now. We walked up on that side when we came in. So we're gonna follow up this other side now and do the exact same thing we did last time. Since this is going pretty smooth, making good time, I might have time to hit that community scrape as well, which I'd really like to do. Possible buck house right here. Not seeing any rubs. There's so much trail in there. Doesn't look like this one is one. Oh, there's one big rub. So, a bed in there. Could be one once in a while. Definitely a big historical rub in there. truck. Alright, that's some garbage. Really no sign on that side. All the bedding's off in there. I know they're bedding on that other side too though, just not right here. So, we're back out in the meadow now. We're gonna cruise this for a second. I'm gonna check my map, get oriented. Oh, there's a deer right there. You guys see him? It's a big buck. I don't think I got him on camera, guys, but that was a big buck that just jumped up right there. I'm gonna walk over to where he was bedded. Alright guys, I was just cruising along talking, and all of a sudden I saw a deer jump up in the middle of this big giant field. I figured it would be a doe, but it was a nice buck, a really nice buck. I don't know if I got him on camera or not. We'll have to see later. If I did, it'll be really far away. It won't be good footage. I don't know if he was coming out or if he was laying down over here somewhere. There's a trail right here. I tried to run after him because he was running away, but I couldn't catch him. Thought if I angled over, I could catch him again. He was somewhere right in here. I see a little bit of cattails right there. That was a good sized buck, guys. He was right in here somewhere. I don't know if he was laying right here. You can see there's a bed right here. There's a bed right here. A bed right here. Look at this giant trail. This giant trail coming here. He was bedded right here. Either right here or right in them pines. I think it was right here. Because when he ran right through this edge. That's where I saw him. Wow. Alright guys, I was heading towards that community scrape on my map. When we jumped that big buck out here, he's got this little area that's shaded right here in the middle of the field where he's laying. This little mossy bed area right here. I marked this on the map. I saw him run down this edge this way, which is heading towards that community scrape where I was already trying to head. So I marked this on the map. We let him cool off for a minute and then keep heading that way. This is the way he ran right here. He ran right down this edge here. Big ditch right here. I wonder if he was bedded down in there. That big ditch right there. He could have been. There's a huge, there's just like a ditch right here. You can see that big bed right there. That's crazy. He could have been completely laying down in this bed in this ditch, and you would never see him in this field because he's like 3 feet down in the ditch. And you can see his trail right here coming out of that, which is where he ran down. He could have been laying down in that ditch. That cool little ditch right there. Trail he ran down right here. I don't know, it looked like he just kept running down this edge right here. community scrape's a little bit this way, so we're gonna head towards that. I want to scout that area out a little bit better. That buck, when I checked the map, his bed was definitely directly downwind from that community scrape. So he's bedding out here in this scrubby stuff. Probably going back and forth between here and the Cattails. Which, if his bed in the center of this field lines up right with one of them good looking areas on the Cattails, then we probably could deduce that he's probably going in them Cattails right there. Bunch of birds. Alright, we're back on the trail. This is the trail that the scrape is on. I think our buck ran through here. Guys. You see that giant track right there? I think that's the buck we just jumped. Which that gives us more crucial information. This is where he wants to go to. Off into Never Never Land. As you can see here, this is Never Never Land. Here's the big trail we're after. You can smell the deer in here. I can literally smell the deer in here. It's not very often you can actually smell the deer, but you can definitely smell them right in there. Like I was saying before, as soon as you get over here, you can literally smell the deer. You can see their tracks coming in here. I can smell them so bad right now. But if you see this giant trail coming in here, then you see there's like a scrape right here. And this is all licked up. Then you look over here, and this is like the big giant community scrape, waller, whatever you want to call it. But in the fall time, this will be all churned up. That's like as big as a truck. So we got this in here. We're gonna get out of here now though. I've got all the info I need. Got the missing pieces that I was looking for. We're gonna shoot back down this meadow. Quit harassing that big boy. We already scared him enough for one day, huh? So, this is such a cool area to hunt. Like I said, it's got everything the whitetails could want. I've been eating blueberries the whole time I've been out here. Never seen so many blueberries. The berries themselves are just off the chain this year. Blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, they're all over the woods. Mushrooms are bumping. You guys, look at that. There's just so many blueberries. So beautiful to see. I'm gonna eat all these real quick. Alright guys, made it back to the truck safe and sound. Thanks a lot for watching for another scouting adventure here. Out in the marshlands again. Out where the giants are, as we saw today. So that was exciting. Like I've said multiple times, not sure if I got it on video or not, but hopefully I did. If not, I got to see him, so that's exciting for me. I know where he's bedding. It's all lining up with all the sign that I already have marked off, so we just got to mark out a plan and go after him once it's season. Hope you guys are out there scouting. Hope you're having fun. Hope you're learning. Like and share. Subscribe if you want, and leave us a comment. Thanks a lot.